Hey guys, Jen here. It is day one of our 15-day daily mindset practice challenge. Welcome to the live stream. This is the official kickoff of the challenge. So I'm going to be going through the mindset practice that I'm going to recommend. Now, this is just a recommendation. You can choose which parts of this feel best to you and do that. But I'm going to walk you through the 3-step mindset practice that I use every single day and that I've used pretty much daily since August of 2015. So if you're watching live and you want to say hi and ask any questions, just drop them in the comments. If you are watching the replay, then you can also drop things in the comments if you want to, because I will come back and check them later. So I'm just going to give you guys a couple seconds to join, and then I'm going to get into it. I'm doing all the stuff I usually do before the live stream on the live stream, because I realize, otherwise I'm just going to sit here and not press go live. So just freaking press it, right? Okay, so like I said, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to comment, and I'm just going to kind of go through the practice. Hey, Heather. Happy Friday. Yes, happy Friday. I am very much looking forward to this weekend. I'm actually tie-dyeing some stuff with my cousins tomorrow, a couple of my cousins that I haven't seen in a while. They live in New York City, and they're home for a couple of weeks. And my other cousins who are local, we're all getting together and doing this tie-dye thing. So it's going to be really fun. So yeah, looking forward to that. Okay, so just to go through the mindset practice. So like I said, this is a recommendation. I'm just sharing what I do, and you can take whatever parts of this feel best to you. But honestly, the practice that I'm going to explain is generic in the sense that you can kind of come up with your own version of it. So I'm going to talk about the generic steps, and then you can decide what specific steps within those generic steps you want to take for yourself. But the point here is that you're going to come up with a daily mindset practice that you can do every single day for the rest of this challenge. So for the next 15 days, the end of this month. And it's going to be something that I promise you, if you commit to doing it every single day, is going to change your life in ways you can't even imagine, and quickly. This for me was the craziest thing. I actually, my mindset practice that I do started, like I said, in August 2015. I was actually traveling at that time. I was in Texas visiting my ex-in-laws, and I was following this coach online who was doing a 14-day mindset challenge, funnily enough. And she was basically showing us her process, and she was teaching everything. And it was like just getting to do the practice with her every day and getting to sort of experience it. It was like, actually, I take that back. It might have been 7 days. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter how many days it was. Regardless, it was something where we just got into that consistency and getting to be part of that and doing the practice along with everybody else each day, and showing up to the live streams and just kind of being part of that. I started to have shifts in not only my mindset, but in my life that were mind-blowing. And also things that sort of were a little bit odd showing up, where it was like, okay, that seems kind of weird because you would normally see that as a negative. And so how I want to do this challenge is I'm going to explain a mindset practice that I recommend. Then I'm going to basically hold everybody accountable. We're going to all hold ourselves accountable for the next 15 days to do this every single day, our version of that practice. And I'm going to basically drop in the group each day or every couple of days different tips or videos or just things to help you continue sticking with this, right? So continuing actually do the practice, and also talking about some of the roadblocks or the challenges that might pop up along the way as you create consistency around doing a mindset practice, because there are definitely things that are going to pop up sometimes where you're going to start to question, maybe this isn't, I shouldn't do this, or, whatever. I promise you, out of every single thing I've done in my entire life and business, the number one thing I would always go back to is my mindset practice. It's doing the inner stuff. It's that feeling good practice that I have in my life that I do every single day. And I know that that is the thing that has changed everything for me, not only in my life, but also in my mindset, the way I think, the way I show up, my energy, everything. So I don't believe in silver bullets or magic bullets where you just do one thing and suddenly everything is just way better. But honestly, if there was a magic bullet, I believe it would be this, the mindset practice, the feeling good mindset practice, and feeling good being a really important part of that. Okay, so I have notifications popping up on my phone, all crazy here. Okay, so there are 3 steps in this process. The first is clear, and I'm going to go through all of them just as an overview, and then I'll actually dive deeper into each part. So the first step is clear. You're going to clear out that clutter, that mind noise, the stuff that just comes up constantly that gets in the way of you thinking the things you want to think, believing the things you want to believe, all of that stuff, because that mind noise, that clutter can just really crowd out all of the good stuff. So the first step is clear. The second step is what I call intention setting or resetting to truth. So for me, what I do in my intention setting is about writing statements of, positive affirmations, things that I'm deciding are now true for me, right? So you're writing them out or saying them as if they're already true. And I'll get back to that in a second. But it's really about setting that intention and then reaffirming it every single day that this is the truth I'm now claiming for myself. This is the truth that I'm now choosing to see, to believe, to live by. And so I call that section resetting to truth, but it's really intention setting. So I just kind of say it both ways because they're, one explains it slightly better than the other. I just like the way the other one sounds. Okay, so that's the second part. And like I said, I'm going to go through each of these in depth in 1 second. I just want to kind of go through the whole process. So then the third part is feel it. So this is when you're really going to start to feel as if all those things you just wrote about or talked about were actually true. You're going to imagine it and you're going to feel it inside as if, yes, this is true. I'm creating this feeling inside myself. So those are the 3 parts of the process. Now, these do not have to take a long time. And at first, you probably won't want them to. So when I started my mindset practice in August of 2015, I was not in a place where I could have sat and meditated for more than 30 seconds to a minute. There just was no freaking way. My mind was all over the place. I was very cluttered and crowded with noise and just all these things. So there was no way I could have sat down and just for 20, 30 minutes meditated and just been in that space of letting everything else go and let my mind be clear and just sort of feeling and visualizing things. I could have never done that. So that's why I love that when we did that practice, it was very much do it for a short period of time, right? So I actually would do 2 minutes. So 2 minutes of clearing, 2 minutes of intention setting, and then 2 minutes of feeling it. Now, this practice that I'm teaching you guys has evolved quite a bit over the years. So in 2015, in August, that's not what I was doing exactly. It was similar, but I've refined it more to the point where it works a lot better for me. So that's the version I'm going to teach you guys. So that's kind of the 3 steps. And I believe that they work really well to create your mindset, to get yourself to that place where you believe the things that you know to be true, that maybe you just have opposing beliefs going on right now, and all of that stuff. So this is really going to get you on track to not only start your day every day with a lot more clarity and powerful energy and really just showing up in a different way, but you're going to start to see other things that are just starting to show up, and it's amazing, right? It's amazing, but it definitely takes consistency and it definitely takes practice because, like I said, back then I could never have done this for more than a few minutes at a time because I just didn't have the discipline. I didn't have the commitment to it. But once I started to be committed to doing it every day, my ability to do it for longer periods of time has increased. So now I'm to a place where my daily mindset practice goes from anywhere between 10 minutes to 3 hours sometimes. If I just feel like it's a day where I really want to just dive in and do the inner stuff or really just do the mindset stuff. So I'm to that place now where I can meditate for 15, 20 minutes and not even realize that much time has gone by. But I did not start there. And that's what I want to preface all of this with, because I think sometimes we hear people talk about this stuff and it feels very ideal. Yeah, I would love to be able to do that. But you're just sort of there's no way. I could never do that. And that's how I used to feel too. I could never meditate. It's just too hard. It's too much time. There's no way. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, and I promise you the more you commit to doing this, the more it's going to not only become easier, and you're going to actually want to do it, but you're going to realize how foundational it is to everything else that goes on in your life. And so for me, like I said, if there was a magic bullet, this would be it. Okay, so like I said, step 1 is clear. So you're getting rid of the noise, you're getting rid of the clutter, and this is something that I think is super important because otherwise what happens is you go into your day and you're just distracted. You just have all this negative voices or negative thoughts coming up. And most of the time, those aren't even yours. They're coming from other places. They're just programmed into your subconscious at this point. So you hear them and you think that they're you, but really they're not you. So it's getting rid of that noise so that you can actually connect with your actual voice and hear your real voice come through so that you know when you hear something, whether it's you or it's something else, it's a programming you've received, or if this is truly your soul speaking, your voice speaking. And I'm going to show you some tricks to get more clarity on that as well. when we talk about step 2. But yeah, so step 1 is just clear. Now, my favorite way to clear is freestyle journaling that you do by hand. You may have heard of morning pages, so this is very similar to that. And I used to do those back in the day. That was like the very first mindset practice, if you want to call it that. So I think it was like 2008 or 2009, I started to do them on and off. And then I had a point in, I think it was like 2010, where I was like, I'm going to commit to this for a year. And I did, and it was absolutely amazing. And then I kept going. So that was my early mindset practice that I did, was the morning pages. And when I really committed to doing them consistently every single day for 3 full pages, and I was doing 2 minutes or 5 minutes of meditation, which again was very inconsistent at that point. But when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, that was the mindset practice that got me out of my corporate job. It's the thing that got me to a place mentally where I was like, I can quit my job. I can do this. Like, no matter what, I know I can handle this. Now, that was before 2015 when I really committed to the practice I'm explaining here. But that was my early version. And the morning pages were such a huge part of it, because you're getting rid of the clutter. You're clearing it out. You're leaving it on the page. So the way to do the freestyle journaling, if you want to do it my way or even the morning pages way, is that you do it first thing when you first wake up before you do anything else. So I literally sleep with a notebook next to my bed so that I can grab it and I can do the journaling right there. Now, sometimes I don't do that these days. So that was something that I used to do really consistently when I was first doing this. Now, sometimes I will wait until I actually decide, okay, this is the time I'm doing my full mindset practice. And then the first thing I do will be freestyle journaling for a page or 2 until I feel like, okay, I don't have anything else to say. And then I move into the next step. So it really just depends on the day. But a lot of days I would like to do it first thing in the morning when I first wake up, because that's, your subconscious is most active then. So you're able to program things a lot easier. So it's really a good time to do it. But it works anytime, as long as you're intentional about it and you're like, okay, I'm sitting down now and I'm doing my process. And the first step is freestyle journaling. So I'm just writing out whatever comes. Now, I don't do 3 pages anymore. I let myself do at least 1 page. So that's my commitment to clearing, is 1 page. Sometimes I do more. Sometimes it's like 3 pages, 7 pages. It just depends on the day. Most days it's 1 page. So I just get to the bottom of the page and I'm feeling like, yeah, this is good. I don't really have anything else to say. If I feel like I do, I just keep going. Other times I don't have the time, right? So I might have a day where it's like, oh, I just have something going on. I only have a couple of minutes where I can do this, and then I have to move on to the next step. So in that case, 1 page is sufficient. It's a good enough amount of a length where I'm still getting some stuff out, but I'm not, going pages and pages. So that's why I started doing 1 page, because I just started to recognize like 3 pages. Sometimes I just didn't have enough to say. And I know her recommendation for morning pages, Julia Cameron, is that you just write whatever comes out. And then if you can't think of something, you literally just write, I have nothing else to say. I have nothing else to say, which I did used to do back when I first started doing that. But these days I don't do that because I just don't feel it's necessary. I'm like, I do this all the time. This is not something I feel I need to do. But if you're like, I just want to do 3 full pages, then that's one way you can get there if you're out of stuff to say. So it's just clearing. Write down whatever comes out. This is no judgment, no worrying about what's coming out or what's coming up. It's not about whether it's coming out perfect, it's spelled right, it's grammatically correct. Like, none of that matters. It's freestyle, stream of consciousness. So you're literally just writing whatever comes out. When I first started my morning pages, most of what was coming out was just BS, right? So it was like me complaining about my life, complaining about the things I didn't like that were going wrong at work, that were not going the way I wanted them to, and how annoyed I was about certain things. And it was just constant complaint, which you would think, like, is that really what you want to do first thing in the morning? But what I started to realize very quickly was like, oh, when I do this first thing in the morning and I clear out that noise, those complaints, that frustration, whatever I'm feeling and experiencing, it stays on the page and it doesn't follow me into my day. So suddenly it's like I'm going through my day and those complaints aren't popping up as much. They're not bothering me as much as they used to. It's not even something my mind is even paying attention to anymore, because I've dealt with it, right? Every single morning I've dealt with it, let it go, left it on the page, and then went into my day. So that freestyle journaling, getting the clutter out, is so powerful in just releasing the bullshit that stays stuck in our heads, that stops us from moving forward on the things we want to do, that keeps us from feeling good a lot of the times, right? Because it doesn't feel good to think things that don't align with what you want to have be true for you. So, that's a really great way to clear it out. Now, if you're not into freestyle journaling, some other options for clearing, you can do meditation, where you just are clearing your mind, you're getting rid of anything that's there. You can do like guided visualization meditations where you listen to somebody talk you through like releasing stuck energy or stuck thoughts or whatever. I actually have in my membership site, the Feel Good Writers. I've changed the name so many times. I'm like, what's it called now? Feel Good Writers. There is a meditation I have in there called the bag meditation, where you literally take these fears and these worries and you drop them in a bag and you throw them off a cliff, and the audio walks you through doing that. And you can like listen to it and actually, mentally imagine yourself kind of doing this clearing activity. So that's something that you can do if you're not really into writing out or journaling things. Another clearing is emotional freedom technique, EFT, or tapping. Basically, just you say positive statements or negative statements, depending on which version you're doing, and then you tap on different points of your body that basically clear out stuck energy and stuck emotions. And there's tons of videos on YouTube for this. My absolute favorite are all the videos by Brad Yates, so definitely check him out if you want to try that for clearing. Now, some of the things I'm talking about here, you can use in the other steps as well. So for me, it's really about what works best for you in that section of the mindset practice. So for me, I think clearing works best when I'm journaling out my thoughts and getting that stuff out on paper. I really love EFT and tapping as well, but I do that as another part of my practice. It's part of how I feel it. Is I clear out the old emotions and the stuck emotions. Well, I guess it is partly clearing at the same time then. But I'm using it intentionally to create the feeling and the beliefs around what I actually want to see happen. So I'm always looking for the positive statements and the positive ways to program that stuff into my mindset. So I use EFT in part 3 of this practice. But like I said, you can use it for clearing as well. And I definitely use it for that sometimes too. But my favorite way is obviously the journaling. So that's what I do. Okay, so that's part 1, clear. Now, again, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. Do 1 page or set a timer and do it for 2 minutes, whatever time you have. You don't have to have a lot of time. The point is to do it and to do it consistently. Okay, so the second part of the practice is that you are going to reset to truth, or AKA set intentions. So the way you're going to do this is twofold. So the first is that you're going to write out or speak or say out loud, whatever works best for you, statements, positive statements. So they're either going to be done in the positive past tense, as if this has already happened, it's already true, or the positive present tense, as if this is already true right now. So an example would be, I am a best-selling author. I'm an Amazon best-selling author. I am a successful writer. I make thousands of dollars every month for my business. I sell thousands of books every month. Whatever it is you desire to have be true for you in all areas, right? So you could do this specifically for one area, like just your business or just your creativity or creative life. I was trying to say both at the same time and it wasn't coming out at all. But you could do it for that, or you could do it for every other area, your personal life, your relationships, your love relationship, for your friendships, for the time that you get to spend doing hobbies and stuff like that, like who you choose to be now, who you're deciding to be now. Like you can affirm and intend all of that stuff and whatever you want to have be true. So the twofold that I always say is you want to focus it on you. What are you intending that is now true about you? And what are you now intending is true about your life or about your beliefs? So like some of the things I write down when I do my intention setting is things like everything always works out in my favor. I have programmed that belief for such a long time now that I never worry when stuff happens because I always know like it's just going to work out in my favor somehow. Like something will happen from this where it's going to be in my favor. And I just believe that. But I still write it every day or most days because it's just I like reaffirming something that I already believe to be true. And actually, my favorite author, Mike Dooley, always talks about when you're intending stuff that you're taking things that aren't true yet, but you want them to be true, and you're writing them down as if they are. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I don't really know if I believe that. It doesn't feel real to me. So the way to make it feel more real is to also write down things you already know are true, that you already believe because it's just something you believed. And so you write it out along with the things you now want to believe. And by doing that, your brain doesn't decipher the difference between what is already true and what you currently believe. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you just kind of put them all together. So I like to write things like, everything always works out in my favor. The universe has my back. Like, I know I'm always safe and protected. Like, things that I already believe are true, but I'm reaffirming them every single time because I want to reset myself to truth, especially because when you have days where you start questioning things or you have doubt come up, this is how you get rid of that, is resetting yourself to the truth. No, actually, but I know how the universe works. And I know that when I feel good, I align with the things that I desire and they show up with ease. Like, you can remind yourself of all this stuff by writing it out. So this is intention setting. You're actually going to write it out. Or if you're like, I'm not really big on writing it. Or if you just feel like when I write it, I can't connect with how it feels. It doesn't really feel true to me. Then some other ways to do this are to speak it out loud. So either write them all down one time, like all the things you want to believe in every single area of your life, and then say them out loud every single day. So like literally go through the list and read them out loud. This is what I used to do back in August 2015. I actually had written out all the beliefs that I wanted to have, and I think it was like 7 or 8 pages worth of them. And then every morning, first thing, I would do my freestyle journaling, and then the next thing I would do I would get those pages out, and I would read through each individual statement on there. First, I would read it in my head, like out, just read it. And then I would close my eyes and I would say it again in my head, like just to reaffirm that thing again. So it was like I was doing it twice for each belief on every single one. So it took some time, but it was something I was committed to doing because that actually felt good to me to do it that way. Now I actually have, like I said, I like to write it out mostly, or I like to do this other thing, which is you write them all out first and then you record yourself reading them all. Then you listen to the recording in the morning when you first wake up. So that was something I started doing when I lived in Austin a few years ago, and realizing, and this is the really cool thing that happened, was after a few weeks of doing this, so I would basically wake up first thing in the morning, I would grab my earbuds right off the side of my table, put them in, put the audio on. So I would literally be like brushing my teeth, putting my contacts in, washing my face, listening to myself saying these belief statements, right? So reading them into the audio, and I just listened to it over and over again. What I discovered after a couple of weeks was I would be going through my day and a thought would pop in my head, like a negative thought. And suddenly I would immediately recognize, like, holy shit, that's not my voice. Like, that's not my voice. That was my mom. Or like, that was my grandma. Like, that wasn't my voice. But before I was actually listening to my own voice over and over again, I didn't recognize my own voice in my head. So it was like, when I started to do this and I started to hear my own voice over and over again, my subconscious was starting to recognize it as my own voice. So suddenly when I was hearing other thoughts, it was like I could recognize right away that that wasn't me. That's not my thought. That's someone else's thought that they just gave to me. And now I can choose to let that go because I know it's not my thought. So that was a kind of cool thing that happened from just doing the audio and listening to the audio. So that's another way that you can reset to truth and create those intentions, is listen to the audio of you reading those things. That's also if you don't want to actually have to say them over and over again every day. And like I said, if you can do this first thing when you wake up, then you actually really, really penetrate your subconscious, because that's when it's most active. The other time it's most active is right before you go to sleep or right after meditation. So those are 2 other times you could listen to the audio and get those new beliefs programmed in. Now, the thing about the subconscious is once it takes a programming in and it knows it and it's like actually imprinted in there because it's been replicated so many times that it just gets it, it starts to print it out into your life. So suddenly the things that now weren't true before are suddenly starting to show up in your actual life because your subconscious is finally getting the message. Oh, this is true now. Your subconscious doesn't judge. It doesn't know whether what you're saying is true or not. It just takes it in and it creates the physical version of it. So by reprogramming your subconscious with what you actually want to have be true, you're going to start to see that actually show up in your life the more consistently you do this. So that is step 2 in the process. And that is going to be your intention setting and resetting yourself to truth, the truth of what you desire, the truth of what you want to have be true. Okay, and then the third and final part of this process is feel it. So this is when you're actually going to feel as if all those things you just wrote down, listened to yourself say, or talked out loud are now true, right? So they have already come true. You're imagining it as if it's true. Now, this is important because not only is the feeling what you're really going for here, the feeling is going to magnetize, right, the things outside yourself to you. So you have to have the feeling, because if you are not matching the same emotional vibration energy that whatever it is you desire to have has, it will not come to you. You will repel it. So the whole thing with desires is that the whole reason you want them is because you think having that thing is going to feel good, or that you're going to feel better having that thing. So for that reason, those things are on a feel-good frequency, right? So they're on a higher vibration frequency. They feel really good. So the only way you can also get those things and receive them is to feel good yourself. You have to match the vibrational frequency of the things you want. And they are on the feel-good frequency, not on the negative, I don't have this yet, woe is me, feel good, or excuse me, not feel good frequency. That is going to repel the things that you want. So the way to bridge that is to do this feel it part of this practice. So you now intended the things that you want. So I'm just using an example here. You want to be a best-selling author, right? So that's what you intended. I'm a best-selling author. My books are always bestsellers. I sell thousands of books every month. You're intending that. Now in the feel it part, you're going to actually imagine as if that's already true. So the best way to do feel it is to visualize. Really close your eyes and visualize this as already being true for you, right? So you feel it. You imagine, what would your day be like? How would you show up? What would it be like to look at your Amazon account and see that you sold all these books today and you sold, however many books yesterday, and you had this huge total for the month and all this money coming in, and your book was at number one, and you can imagine it on the Amazon site at number one. And if you can visualize all that, you can create the feeling inside yourself of that is already true for me. Now, the feeling is the first piece. So a lot of times we think the physical manifestation of the thing, right? I have to have the physical thing and then it's real. No. The physical thing is the final piece of the manifestation process. The first piece of it is the feeling. You have to create the feeling. If you can create the feeling, you will get the thing. It's just impossible not to, because the feeling magnetizes the thing. So the feeling comes first. And that's why you want to feel it. You want to create the feeling of this is already true for me. I imagine this. So when I do it as a visualization, I will just imagine everything I wrote down is true right now. So I will just imagine my life. I will walk through my day. I will walk through my life. So I'll imagine myself getting up. Where am I waking up? Where's my house? What am I looking at when I first wake up? For me, it's I'm waking up on the ocean, or I'm waking up on the lake, seeing the water and hearing the waves crashing. That's where I'm waking up in my dream house, right? So it's visualizing that and feeling it as if you wake up there every freaking morning, right? And you're spending time in that space mentally every single morning. And as you do that, your mind, again, does not know the difference between what is actually real and what you feel is real. So if you can create the feeling of it, your mind will just believe it and will just take that in as, oh, this is true. And then it's going to create that on the outside, because our mind is what creates our reality, right? So it's all about creating that feeling. Now, if you're not into visualization, or if you have a hard time with it, you could use a guided visualization. So an audio that actually walks you through imagining things, imagining what your dream life would be like, or imagining, what your day would go like, whatever, kind of guided visual you need. Another option, if you're I'm just not really into visualization, or maybe you're just someone who feels I can't picture it. So I can't see it when I close my eyes, and that's okay. Another option is you can journal it. So what I like to do is, if I'm going to do this version of it, which again, I like to switch things up because I'm multi-passionate and I like to change things up a lot. The other way that I will do it is that I will write it out like a story. So I will write it out like I'm telling a story, or I'm writing a story about my day, or a story about my life. So I almost do it like a journal entry where I'm talking about my day, sharing what happened in my day and what happened in my life, but as if the things I want to be true already are. So I'll write hey, this morning I woke up and the waves were crashing. It was so amazing to just lay there and listen to them for 5 minutes before I got up and started my day. And then I got to go right on the balcony and smell the air and the fresh water and blah, 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 all the things, right? So telling the story of how you want it to be, feeling that story as if it's already true. So again, the version of it is going to be dependent on what feels good to you. So visualization, guided visual, writing it out as a story, or, whatever. You may want to do something else. Maybe draw it. Maybe, you draw something every morning, or create a piece of art about it. You get to decide what works best for you, right? This is not me saying you have to do these 3 specific activities, or this is never going to work. No. But I do think that you should stick with these 3 general guidelines for the steps. So 1 being clear, 1 being intention setting, and 1 being feel it. Because those are overarching the steps that you need to actually get this mindset practice to work really well for you. But you get to decide in those steps what you do. And you can mix it up, like I said. So some days I'm I don't feel like meditating today, which most days I do, but a lot of times I'll be no, I don't want to. So then I'll do something else. It's totally fine. For feel it, you can also do other things. So something else you could do is move your body. So you could work out, you could dance. Dancing is a really good one. because movement creates energy and it moves energy. So that's a really good way to feel things. And the other thing would be just go do something that feels good to you. It doesn't even matter what it is. If you want to take a nap, if you want to go for a walk, if you want to play with your dog, like whatever feels good to you, just do that. And that can be part of your feel it part. So it might seem kind of weird, like, well, how is me dancing or me walking my dog or playing with my dog, me feeling all those things are true? Well, it's not doing it in a specific way, as like you're not bridging that, okay, I'm going to now take those specific visions and imagine them. But what you are doing is just matching the energetic frequency of all those things being true when you're feeling good. So that's what you're really going for here, is the feeling good thing. The visualization just helps you to create that feeling of, I have it now. But like I said, if that doesn't work, or if you're just not into that, it's totally fine. Just go do something that feels good to you. And if you do that consistently, you will continue to raise your vibration. Now, again, this does not have to take a lot of time. You could literally do 2 minutes on each of these sections. 2 minutes clearing, 2 minutes intention setting, 2 minutes of feeling it. And that's it. And then move on with your day. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of time on this. And what's really awesome is that even this 10 minutes you spend here every single morning doing this, or whatever time of day you do the practice, I obviously recommend morning because that sets you up for having a very good day versus doing it in the middle of the day when things are already going crazy on you. But whatever, again, it works no matter when you do it. I recommend morning, of course, but you get to choose. But either way, it's just one of those things that the more you do it, the more you see the results from it, and the more you're going to start to experience what it's all about and just get yourself to that place where it's like, oh yeah, I'm consistent with this. I'm starting to see the results from it, and that's pretty awesome. So I think I might have been saying something else and I completely lost what I was saying. So hopefully it'll come back. But either way, yeah, so it doesn't have to take a lot of time. Just use a timer if you want. But the most important thing is that you do it consistently, because again, it is, oh, this is what I was saying. It is so much more powerful than any negative thing that could be going on. So what a lot of people will say when I say like, oh, you don't need a lot of time to do this, you know, you could do it literally 10 minutes a day and that would be enough. What some people will say is like, how is 10 minutes of feeling good in an entire 24-hour period where everything else feels like shit? How is that going to change anything, right? But what we don't realize is that our positive feeling emotions are 10 bazillion times more powerful than any of the negative emotions or thoughts that we put out. So if you're spending even 10 minutes a day in a feel-good state, in a feel-good vibe, that is going to be more powerful than all the hours you spend not in that. Now, of course, you want to move yourself as much as possible into feeling good for longer periods of time each day, and the mindset practice is a great way to start doing that. But even 10 minutes a day can change your entire life, change your vibration, change the frequency that you live on, and the things that show up because of that. So that is the mindset practice. That is how it works. And let me know if you have any questions about any of this. Heather says, journaling as is can be a lot of fun. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, journaling was something I've done pretty much my entire life. I started to consistently keep a journal when I was in 9th grade. But before that, I would still journal sometimes. Like I had little, kid journals. I even had one that had a passcode thing on it, so my mom couldn't open it. Like she really gave a shit what I had in there when I was 11 years old or whatever. But either way, it was something I just always did. It was something I enjoyed doing. And now I still do it, but I just do it in a different way. So now I don't write about my day as if like I'm just talking about what happened today. I write about it as if how I want it to be. And what I do to keep memory of, or to keep just not forgetting like the present, right? So I'm not trying to say like, oh, just forget the present completely and just always focus on what you don't have yet. No, absolutely not. I actually do a journal at night where I write 1 to 2 sentences about my day, my actual day. So like what actually happened that day. I try to pull out like something I learned, or the most positive thing that happened that day, or something that felt really good to me, or, maybe good news I received or something like that. So it's like a sentence or two. I do it right at night before I go to sleep. And it's just a way for me to keep track of like what did go really well in my life. What was something positive that I learned, or something maybe negative, but then I got a positive spin on it. What's also fun is I've actually been doing this since last March. So now I can actually flip back to last year and look at the sentences from last year and go, oh, like what was I doing on this day last year? And it's kind of fun too. Actually, sometimes at night, like I'll tell my boyfriend like, hey, guess what we were doing a year ago today? And I'll like tell him what's written down in the journal. So, it's fun to just like have those memories and to be able to go back. For me, it's almost like, it's like a way to just have a memory of my life and to remember like, hey, everything that went on, because we get so busy, we get so overwhelmed with everything in our lives, we forget to remember the little things. And so like, you'll forget what you wore yesterday if you don't write it down, you know? So it's like, that's just my way of keeping track of my life and the things that I've experienced and learned. And it's really fun. So that's just an additional thing I do. It's not necessarily a mindset thing, but it's something I do to, to celebrate my current life, my present life, and the good things that are happening. So, okay, well, that is the mindset practice. So let me know if you have questions about any of this. So my recommendation for this challenge, and like I said, I'm going to check in every day to either drop a tip or some kind of video or something that will just help you to move through being consistent with this practice. But I want you to, for today, choose what you're going to do for the 3 parts, right? So are you going to do, what are you going to do for clearing? Are you going to journal? And this is just to try it, right? So you might try it and go, yeah, I think I'd rather do something else for this. And then you can change it. But it's like, you got to start with something. So pick one thing for each of the 3 steps. So whatever you're going to do for clear, whatever you're going to do for intention setting, whatever you're going to do for feeling it. And then you can go, okay, yeah, I'm going to shift this. I don't like this. Or, oh yeah, this feels really good. Like, you'll figure that out as you go. So as you do this each day for the next 15 days, you're going to start to be like, oh yeah, this works really well. Or, oh, I'm not really a fan of this. I think I'd rather do something else. So you'll find that as you go. Give yourself permission to shift and change whatever you're doing to make it feel good to you. So that is the key here. It is the number one key here, right? It has to feel good. So if you're like, oh, this doesn't feel good, shift what you're doing. Now, you might argue, or some might argue, that it doesn't feel good at all to sit down and do a mindset practice, because maybe you've just had a lifetime of negativity and you've never ever realized how powerful your mind can be. And maybe you've just like never sat down to actually work on it. So now when you do, it feels a little bit confronting. It feels a little bit scary. Like, I get that, because that was me too. Like, my head used to be a freaking shit show. Like, just so much negativity, so much negative programming. And I've worked through all of that over the years by having this practice. Now, that's not to say that sometimes it doesn't feel scary or confronting or heavy, but you just have to go with what feels good in that moment. So sometimes you're like, I don't want to do this journaling. Or sometimes you might just feel like, I don't want to do this entire practice today. Like, that's okay too. This is not about do Jennifer's practice. This is about do what feels good to you. I'm just giving you a foundation to start with. You can figure out what works best for you. The point here is that you feel good and that you do this consistently, and that you're working on your inner world and your mindset every single day. Because I promise you, when you get your mind right, everything else just naturally works itself out. And I know that seems like when you're in a place where you feel stuck or like things aren't working, that can be hard to hear. I get that. But I promise you, if you just have a little trust, take some action, you're going to start to see some changes, because energy is in everything. And energy is the only thing that we can shift into other things, right? So it doesn't ever get created or destroyed. It just exists. So we can always change it into something else, to a different kind of energy. We can shift it to a higher vibe. We can feel better. We can move ourselves onto a different frequency. And we can do that at any time. And the more consistently we do that, the more we're going to be aligned with and magnetizing the things that we desire. So that is what I will leave you with for the first day. I know that's a lot. So if you have questions, like I said, let me know. Like I said, I've got some really cool things I'm going to be dropping in the group over the next 15 days so that you can really find your feel good in all of this and consistently do this every day, because I promise you it is going to change everything, and very quickly. So that is it for today. Let me know if you have questions. If you're watching the replay, I will come back and check them. So just stay tuned to the Facebook group, because like I said, I've got little tips and tidbits to drop for the next 15 days. And I can't wait to see where you're at 15 days from now. So that is it for me, guys. And, and if you're into manifestation, if you like what I'm dropping in this challenge and you're excited about all of this and you want to move forward and work with me on actually manifesting something that you desire, I have a workshop that starts August 1st. It's called the Manifestation Experiment. It is 30 days, one goal, and processes to help you make that happen. So if you would love to check that out, you can go to jenniferblanchard.net/manifestation experiment to check it out. All the details are there. I am really excited for this challenge and for that workshop, so you'll be seeing a lot more from me. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys soon. And remember, feeling good is the point and the path.